begin right now by introducing yourself. We'll go around and just share your name and how long you have been involved with the Pajama Factory or the Factory Works. Do you want to start?
Sure.
Sandy?
My name is Sandy Ludwig. I've been involved with the Pajama Factory for 9 months and Factory Works for a couple of months.
Thank you.
My name is Karen Armenda, and my connection to the Factory Works started back in 1972 when I married my husband, and his mother worked here at Weldon's her entire life practically and retired from here. Was one of the last people when the place closed down to leave. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
And my name is Carol Sillo, and I also have a back in the 70s first experience because Equinox with Robbie Cross. I did design work, and we did some things with creating products and doing printing, so that was way back when. But Factory Works in the Clay Studio, probably 5 years.
Thank you, Carol.
I'm Jeanette Carter. I first really got to familiar with the Pajama Factory about 6 years ago when we did this winter growers market, a farmer's market down in one of the rooms on the first floor. And we did that for 2 winters. And my husband and I came and did that and kind of got to a sense of what the Pajama Factory was like. And then actually, again, I started with the Factory Works, though, about 2.5 years ago. One of our studio managers, David Stone, was a customer of ours at our stand, and he asked me if I was interested in becoming involved with the board. And I said yes, and since then I've been involved with Factory Works.
Great. Well, thank you. We'll hear more about your stories to elaborate on that, but that's a good introduction. So, Sandy, if we could begin with you for a 2-minute response, could you again share your name and the one reason that you love the Pajama Factory and why this is important to you?
My name is Sandy. I love the Pajama Factory because of the creative energy that runs through the building. If you enjoy creating anything, you can feel it as soon as you walk in the building. And it's odd. My aunt worked here when it was her first job out of high school. She worked at Weldon's as a seller. And when I told her that I was here, she said, "Oh, you come from a long line of women who liked that factory." She said, "I liked it because it was my very first job." So she was very excited to have the job, and she said, when she walked in, she said, "I just knew that the job was going to be mine, and it was going to be a good fit." And there's a plot twist for her story, but for me, it really is. It's just about the energy that's in this building. There's a really strong creative current that just runs through it for me.
Thank you.
Karen here again. As far as Factory Works, I've been involved for about a year. I'm on the board, and that morphed into being treasurer, and that morphed into being bookkeeper. So I spend a lot more time here than I thought I would. But I do enjoy it. I like Sandy, I like the creative energy, and I like the volunteerism that's very rampant throughout the building.
Yes. Thank you, Karen.
And I'm Carol Sillo. Factory Works is great because I've been an artist my whole life. I think I was born drawing or doing something. But one of my loves was clay, and I did that extensively in college, but then I never touched it afterwards. So you can tell it's been decades since I had done that. And about 2012, I started again. I took a class at Penn College and outgrew that. The space was too small. I wanted to do more work. And somebody said, "Oh, they're starting this clay studio." So I decided to try it out, and it's amazing. It's this amazing creative space with a lot of connecting threads. We hear circular stories. I've met people that I've known over many years, and just a wonderful space to work and be creative. I make some very large pieces sometimes, so that facilitates that. There's great equipment. The space is large. The people are it creates a community. So we're really looking to make this big family even bigger. And that's what's great about Factory Works.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeanette. I think the thing about Factory Works for me is I really started, I told you that other part of the story, but really what's been amazing to me has been I'm also a member in the wood shop. And I'm not a person who has ever been considered crafty. Like, I'm the anti-crafty. It's not something I ever thought I could do, I would like to do. When I retired, I thought, oh, I have no hobbies, and what am I going to do? And almost immediately, my husband wanted to do the wood shop. I went there with him. The spirit there, the sense of craftsmanship, the help that you get from people beyond just the original, beyond the what you bring in is amazing. So for me, that's been the piece that I didn't expect. Being on the board and doing that's kind of like my own job. It's not a big deal. But the stuff that happens, and I think about this as if you wanted to say it's almost Victorian arts and crafts. I know we're modern what we do, but I feel like the spirit of that arts and crafts movement from the Victorian era, which so fits Williamsport, is what we feel when we walk through this building. And I think that's a lot of what I find Factory Works makes happen for people so they can afford it and do it. So I love it.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you all. Great information. And the second 2-minute response is similar in that the first part is how and when did your relationship with the Pajama Factory begin, and to share a memory or an experience that you have with the Pajama Factory.
My relationship with the Pajama Factory began when I came to events that they had here, Octofest and Greenery. I think Greenery was one of my first events. And I just came through the stuff because I was looking for inspiration. And ended up at Plant Swap, got home some plants. And then I decided that maybe I should just, come and check out some spaces. And just on a whim, I called Danielle in the main office, and she gave me a little tour of the Pajama Factory and showed me some empty studios. And I secured a shotgun studio on the 4th floor where they're working now. So my studio still would not be ready had I not thought to follow up with her a couple months later and say, hey, I'm really desperate. I'm writing a big grant and I need a space. So again, she gave me another tour, and we found a studio on the 4th floor that works perfectly for me right now. And I thought, it's a really good time to, other jobs that I had just didn't afford a lot of time to volunteer. So I thought, well, I have some time. I'll go to the events meeting and see how I can fit in here, other than just working away on the 4th floor. So I sat down, and I heard this voice, Sandy. And I looked up, and Jeanette was sitting on the other side of the table, and it was a voice from my past. Jeanette and I have known each other a very long time. And by the end of the meeting, I believe she said to me, I need your help with something. And you can let me know if you don't want to do it. But basically, what that means is, okay, what's Jeanette got up her sleeve that I can help with? I thought it was something at her house. No. Yeah, she said, we're looking for a person to manage the gallery while Brian takes over the photo lab. And are you interested? So I thought about it, and I thought, I don't know anything about running a gallery, though I've been to a lot of galleries. And it's something that's kind of on my list of things to learn. And that's generally how it works for me. I just jump in with both feet and I learn what I need to learn. And the more we talked about it, the more I liked the idea. And before we knew it, what was it, like a week later, she reeled me in. It was a successful catch.
Wonderful. Thank you, Barbara. Barbara.
Thanks for taking the bait.
It was an empty hook, but it worked.
Sandy, thank you.
Mine just goes back to my mother-in-law. She was a fabric hoarder. Because anytime they had fabric that they were, I don't know, going to get rid of or whatever, she took it. So when we had to move her from, she lived right like a half a block up Isabella Street. So she could walk back and forth to work every day. And that was good because she didn't drive. But we had to move all that fabric. And I was the only one who saw any value in it. And so we didn't move as much as I would have liked to, but we moved a lot of it to her new place. And then through the years, I used a lot of it to make clothes for my kids, you know, and different projects, with different Halloween costumes, and just all kinds of things we made with it. And then when she passed away, or before she passed away, she wanted to, you know, weed the hoard, I guess. And so we had a yard, she asked me to help her with a yard sale. So we had a yard sale. And some of that fabric went everywhere. I mean, there was people, women mostly, of course, and their churches came because they made quilts, and you know, just other people that made handbags, and it just, so it's gone everywhere. And it's sad to say, I still have 3 big totes at my house now, full of that fabric. In fact, I gave some of it away before I just moved to a girl who volunteers at Beckoning Cats. And they made a lot of the cat beds for it, with it. I mean, that was like all the velour that they used for the bathrooms and that. It's gorgeous stuff. But anyways, it's still being dispersed. But I still have some in my house.
Wow, that's a good story, Karen, thanks.
I guess my strongest experience was when I came here to ask for a solo exhibit. Because I had started in clay again, and I had an exhibit up at Waukegan University, and it was about social justice issues. And it really made my creative juices flow, and I wanted to really get into it. So after I got into the clay studio here at Factory Works, I was able to make some of these larger pieces. And I showed some of these things, and they said, yes, you can have a show. Well, that is a big space. You know, things like this are very small. But I was doing torso shapes and things that were, you know, installations. So my biggest experience is doing that, because I said, I want to have this show, I need to fill that space. So within probably a year and a half, I was making pieces that would fill that. And my goal was actually to have this opportunity to express my artistic talent and all the things I wanted to say in clay, which wouldn't have happened normally because I never got to do graduate studies. And when I was in the clay studio, everybody's so supportive. David and Deb Stabley were in there running it at the time. And, you know, I said to some of my other friends in there, this is my thesis. This is what I need to do to prove to myself that I'm graduating with this extended degree in clay. So I did it. And Anne Marie, I think, gave me a certificate at the end of that. She said, yes, you did your work for that. So it was a wonderful experience. It was a really wonderful show experience for me, and I hope other people, enjoyed it as much as I did making it. But it was possible because of here, and it was possible because of that space. Because I screwed things into the ceiling and went from floor to ceiling and, did a movie and did whatever, and it was all possible. So, thank you.
Thank you, Carol. That's a great story. Jeanette?
So I'm Jeanette, and I'm going to tell my story of my second project that I did in the wood shop, because most of the things I've done with my husband, but this was the project that I decided to take on my own. Back in the 1960s, my dad owned a nightclub, and I was his cook. And at that nightclub, I used this knife, and I used it every day. And it's a great knife. It's a German knife. But if you'd have seen it a year ago, its handle was falling off, and it clearly rotted. And so I decided that this was going to be my project. Now, it's just like any kind of craft thing you do. You have no clue what you're getting into until you start doing it, because it seems like that's pretty easy. Okay, 2 pieces of wood, a piece of metal in the middle. a couple little pegs, how hard can that be? Well, if they had cut this, here Cameron, look at this. If this had gone all the way to the end, so I could have cut this piece of wood in half, this would have been an easy project. But it did not. And so that meant I had to, and this piece of the tang, it's called the tang. The tang is the shape of this handle in that it's not just a square, it has some curves to it. So I actually had to find some way to make a groove in this handle that I could in a shape that was wavy, that I could get this in and have the holes lined up so that I could put these pegs in. All I can say is I'm very proud of this. And I use it happily because every time I use it, I remember my father who died in 1990. And so it's a very nice piece. It brings back huge memories for me. It's like Karen and her mom's, all that cloth and fabric and what it does. It brings back huge memories for me, and it's one of the things that I'm very proud about, the fact that I was able to even get the little Hinkle sign back on it for to make it. So, but I would have never tried that. I had wanted to do that for probably 15 years, and had hoped to find somebody who would do it for me. I would have never gotten it done if I had started working in the wood shop. And so it really did, it's really been cool. I can't say it strongly enough how much that's something I never thought I could do. So, anyway.
Thank you, Jeanette. That's a great story, too. Well, after hearing everyone's stories, does anyone want to share something related to what you heard someone else say? Did it act as a catalyst for a memory for you?
I want to say something. Can I say something? So Sandy said it, and I've said it a million times, and she hasn't heard me say it, I don't think. And that is, there's something about, I'll be in the wood shop, and I have to go up to the office, and I'm tired, and I'm thinking, what the heck am I doing? And you walk through the courtyard, and there's something that happens to your soul as you walk through the courtyard, or you walk down the halls here. There's just an energy that it is power. You can feel it. It's real, and it's funny that you said it because it could have been words out of my mouth because I feel it when I'm here in a way that I've never felt it anywhere. And I've worked where there were art stuff. I mean, I worked at a college where there were all kind of things there, and I never had that kind of feeling before. So that's what the factory does. And I hope that someday that this factory will be such an artist colony that people will say, oh my God, I can't imagine Williamsport without it, because I think it has that kind of potential in the future. I really do. And I think Factory Works has the potential to be part of that ultimate outcome of it just being a destination that's beyond anything anybody would think a town this size could do. So that's neat.
It's a really interesting thing when you have a desirable place to create. My studios have always, we've always rented, we bought a house in Coven Station, but my studios were always in the less desirable areas because I tend to make a mess. Sometimes. Okay, all the time. I remember the first one I set up being in the basement. Oh, it was dark. But, we wired all kinds of lights with all kinds of extension cords just to make it work. And I spent a lot of time down there, and the ceiling was very low, and I was tall. So I learned what baseball hats are actually for, is to protect your head when you're coming up to something close that you can hit your head on. So you have a baseball hat on, we'll hit the front of your hat first. But, and then it was, in a block building. It didn't have any windows, and you can't help but look at your work and go, oh man, I wonder what this would have been like if I would have had a little bit better light, or if I could see a little better, or had just a little bit more space, or could have thought a little bit bigger. And now I have a studio here with the most amazing light, all the space I could need. When I first walked into it, it was just bare walls and windows, and it needed cleaned, and I went, oh my God, this is perfect. And you can't help but just stand in the middle of all of it and go, holy cow. So when I get the courtyard, like Jeanette said, I know exactly where I'm headed, I know exactly what I want to do there, and I can't wait to get there. And it's 60-ish plus steps to get to mine on the 4th floor. But I will go up every single one of those steps every day, one at a time, and I will get there. It's just, it's an awesome place to create. Just,
And, you know, the facilities. People think, oh, well, the studio spaces are great, but the factory works spaces, and I'm in the clay studio, you talk about the wood space. There are those media that are just kind of hard to do on your own in a short period of time. And the clay thing, I loved it when I was in college, but I never had the space, the equipment, the money to buy, you know, just go out and buy kilns and, you know, clay and slab rollers and, you know, 30 different glazes. There's all this stuff that you want to try. And a lot of the people here would have never had the opportunity to try this out, to say, oh, you know, I can go from throwing something that's wobbly to actually making something that I can put together that fills a room. You know, to have the ability with a large kiln to put, I was making these torsos that were 24 inches tall. Well, they don't fit in every kiln. So they fit in this one, and I'm able to make my vision happen. And I think that's what's really important. And there were people there that helped me learn how to make that happen. You know, everybody that's running a wood shop, the clay studio, the photo lab, they're so giving with their intellect, and people are so talented around you. I think that's the thing that creates the energy. You talked about the energy, but we talk about experiences, and, you know, I was here in the 70s when, you know, this and that. But there, as I joined the clay studio, I would walk around and find out that, oh, there's, you know, David Lynn Becker, who I knew from way back when he did photo styling back at my C.A. Reed days. And, you know, there's Steve Bauer, I had taken watercolor from him back in the 90s. And, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, I had Joanne Landis come up to a gallery to do a show, and now she has studio space, and now we're talking about doing something together. And it just has this circulating business with artistic minds that find each other. And when they find each other, they need a place to sit down and create. And that's, I think, what this is. So it's been, you know, it's been inspiring, it's been a place to grow, and that might be one of the biggest things about it, because there's a lot of spaces, you know, there's universities, there's other gallery spaces that you can show, but this is a place where almost any kind of thought process can take root and turn into something.
So that's a good segue, because I know we're not going to have anybody probably talk to me about the Bicycle Recycle, which is one of our studios. They're not able to join us, but for right now. But in some ways, what Factory Works was able to do with them was to give them a home when they needed a home. They had been really a bike shop that was, you know, trying to provide a community service by taking used bicycles, making them available for a very reasonable amount for people. And they had been at the YM, I believe. And when the YM went under renovation, they lost their space. And so Factory Works and the Pajama Factory kind of took them in. And they became part of our group and part of our family of studios. And it's funny, they sometimes don't think of themselves as really being artistic, but in some ways what they do is real craftsmanship, to take an old bicycle and turn it into something that is now usable again. It becomes practical art. And practical art is something that I think the wood shop does. And some of the clay studio work is practical work, because you make cups, you make things that are practical. We don't really usually talk so much about the practical stuff, but there are people in this building who have made every piece of furniture in their studio or in their apartment in the wood shop. We do practical things. We do very functionally important things sometimes, as well as the art, which we've kind of talked about today. And I don't want to lose track of that too, because it's an important other half of what I think we do. It's an amazing place. It really is. It's why we don't know I can't tell you how many hours we have. We have enough volunteers that it's, like 2 pages of volunteers. We have people who volunteer and volunteer a significant piece of time to make the organization happen, and it's amazing. I'd say we probably have 20 really volunteers that do at least 8 to 10 hours a week, which is a lot of volunteer, if not more. So it's amazing to me.
And when you talk about the practical side, the thing that these studios do, and I don't like talking as a board member now, is it provides foundational skills. Because for you to do the creative vision that you have to make this big thing, you have to know how to make it. And until you can, take a ball of mud and make it stand up without cracking in half, you can't make the big thing. You can't make a piece of furniture until you've made the knife that you thought about for 15 years, but somebody told you how to do that, and how to do it safely, and how to do it with the right materials. And you start with a small thing. So it allows your imagination to come to life. So.
Karen, is there anything you want to share?
Well, I thought I was just, as far as the arts and crafts and all, or not arts and crafts, but the artistry, I really don't connect with that a lot.
Which is funny, by the way, because I think she's one of the most crafty kind of people I've ever met. So anyway, just saying.
I'm crafty, but I'm not an artist, okay? But as far as the volunteering, and like I said, I started as a board member, and now I'm probably one of those people that put in about 8 hours a week, just doing the books and writing checks and making, entering all that stuff into the bookkeeping. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. Just meeting everybody and interacting with everybody. I retired the same time Jeanette did, and it was like, oh, now what am I going to do? I have to volunteer somewhere. I have to do something. And so it's given me, I don't want to say a purpose, but it's filled in time, and I enjoy it. So that's about it.
And these things don't run by themselves. I mean, this is a very important person. We need to have them all interconnect and work, so thank you for that.
Well,
Anything else you want to
Well,
sum
and
up?
I think, I would just like to say that it's just like the heart of Williamsport folks who are helping us here today. You understand volunteerism and how important it is. And so I think we wouldn't operate without, if we didn't have volunteers, we wouldn't exist. And that's probably it. And I feel like I need to do one more shout out. We also wouldn't exist if the Pajama Factory did not provide to us the space that we need at a rate that we can afford. We are tenants. We're not owned by the Pajama Factory, that is Factory Works, and we're tenants. But we couldn't be tenants if we had to pay full. And so we have to say to the Winklemans about Mark and Suzanne that they do a commendable commitment to helping us with Factory Works stay where we are and stay alive. And so I think that can't be, I have to say that, because I think that's important to not lose track of.
Yeah, I would have never been able to take on the cost of, whatever. I don't know what the commercial rate is for square footage, but I would not have been able to afford it. Thank goodness that I think they thought that all out when they were attracting artists to this.
So it's not just Factory Works, but it's the artists too, and the studios and things.
Yeah,
Keeping it affordable.
it's very reasonable, yeah.